The last video I made about Mr. Robot was very well received, so let's continue with the second episode of the first season. We're going to analyze all of the cyber attacks in the series in detail. Today's topic is Shellshock. Welcome to the channel. I'm Adriano, a cybersecurity specialist with 10 years of experience at this point. My courses to become an ethical hacker from scratch are in the description, discounted by 50% until the 25th of August 2025. That said, I created a dedicated playlist for Mr. Robot. If you missed the first episode, click on the card to watch the entire series from the beginning. Shellshock is very interesting and unfortunately still quite common, even though it dates back 9 years. Let's start. Tyrell offers Elliot a job because he did well in the previous episode. Or maybe because he suspects something. He's a sharp guy, even if he doesn't use Arch. He tells him he could become a multi-millionaire within 5 years, if he joined him. But Elliot, being a principled hacker, refuses the offer. This could have been the start of a fantastic bromance between Tyrell and Elliot. Too bad. It looked like Tyrell had some kind of IT man crush on Elliot. A potentially beautiful bromance blew up in smoke. I feel sad for him. He's just a career guy after all. Well, working for an evil corporation, that is. Like in Clerks, Death Star contractors. Casualties of a war they didn't have anything to do with. I think his heart is in the right place. Elliot tries hacking Tyrell's account. In the Evil Corp network, there is no two-factor authentication enabled, and the Shellshock computer flow hasn't been patched yet. Very bad. Let's start talking about how Elliot handles the payload, how he executes the command, then we'll take a look at the vulnerability itself and how it's exploited. In my courses, we've exploited it with the Burp Suite's repeater tool manually, because it's more convenient to change characters and their encoding in order to make the exploit work correctly. Then, we've also exploited it automatically with the Metasploit framework, which is easier of course, but it doesn't always work. Here Elliot instead uses wget directly. Wget is a Linux command to download files. You could have also used curl. He uses the U option from the manual. We see here that he changes the user agent header, which is the header that the Shellshock exploit actually attacks. He redefines the user agent with wget, even if the user agent usually defines what browser you're visiting the web page with. But he overrides it with content type instead. That instead defines which data type is transmitted with the HTTP request. Data is singular in English. Then echo, that is, he skips 2 lines, sometimes also written as \r\n in web requests, and then cat to get a list of the users of the underlying system where the server is installed on. etc passwd, we've seen this a million times. It just contains the users of the system. The page returns a file called status. Oh well, maybe it's the server serving that specific file with that name. So he gets the list of all the users on the system, but the server user isn't there. It should be there. There even isn't the 1000 user. When you create the first user on Linux, it will have the ID 1000 assigned to it. The lowest number here is 24113. I doubt they created other 20k users. But the UID, the user ID, can also be arbitrarily set. So maybe it's correct, but all in all, I think this file was written manually for the series. Oh god, he tries cracking the status file that doesn't contain hashes. See the X here after the username. The hash should be there. But since etc passwd can be read from anyone on the system, and to avoid people like Elliot reading it and cracking it, the hashes have been actually moved centuries ago on Linux systems in the etc shadow file that can only be read by root, of course. Furthermore, the file is in the wrong folder. Now he's in the home root folder of his local PC and he tries cracking the hash in the status file with the John the Ripper program. The status file doesn't have hashes. It cannot be cracked. And even worse, the file is not in the folder where he downloaded it to, but it's in etc now, where instead we have system configuration files. This is completely wrong. He cracks the password, God knows how, and logs into Tyrell's webmail account. Elliot wonders, what if Tyrell wanted me to hack in? So he panics and destroys all the evidence. Then we have the coolest montage of the first season that I also squeezed in my channel intro. That's not in this video, this time around. Very cool. I cannot show videos. I've already received copyright complaints because I'm showing pictures of the episode on TikTok. Shellshock wrap-up. It's a vulnerability introduced in 1989 and then patched in 2014. CGI-based servers that handle document requests used to fill a bash environment variable in HTTP requests from which you could escape with a series of characters. That's basically just the payload we've seen. And then get access to the underlying operating system. Total remote control. See this Cloudflare article, for example. First Google search I made to show the payload clearly. They use curl here, like I mentioned. The H option stands for header. With wget, it was U for the user agent header specifically. In fact, we see user agent here. This is the series of magic characters to insert and execute whatever command you want remotely on the vulnerable machine. Bin eject jokingly ejects the CD-ROM from the computer CD-ROM device. This series of characters, this payload, is just the definition of a function with no name nor contents that interrupts the bash scripting language logical flow and allows for the execution of other commands in the same context. F-Society keeps his double-cross game strong and threatens the evil corporation, doubling down on Terry Colby. We get then to the guy distributing his mixtape CD on the streets. And Ollie, Angela's boyfriend, falls for it. This guy isn't very smart in this series, is he? Fernando Vera's password, the pusher. Nothing much here. After a rather grotesque exchange with Fernando Vera, Elliot tries to break into Shayla's bathroom because she's unconscious, using lockpicks. They're actually quite interesting. There are starter kits on Amazon for about 20 euros. Handy if you lose your bike lock key, since those are among the easiest ones to crack open. They're a bit like buffer overflows, little puzzles that are fun to solve. Things are different for modern locks. Professional locksmiths use more advanced tools that don't require much technical skill, if I remember correctly. The classic ones are pin cylinder locks, but there are other types of locks that need different tools. I read that red teams in America also have to learn these techniques for their engagements. In fact, I found a 5-day course in America. It costs about $4,000. The curriculum here is very interesting. Forensic locksmithing. Maybe I'll move to America eventually. Any girl looking for a dual citizenship. I mean, Italy is pretty nice. Think about it. Elliot chooses to get Vera behind bars to protect Shayla. I'm only seeing a C file here. These are struct, pointer, and function definitions. The real program is in main, so I wouldn't know. It looks like a program to extract and sort data quickly. Maybe scraping them from his social media accounts and then sending the data as an anonymous tip to the police. Considering that it's a zip file, I think so. Ollie tries inserting the CD time and time again and wonder why it doesn't work. When CDs were still around, each CD had a file in the root directory of the CD called autorun.inf that defined the path of the executable file to launch automatically as soon as the CD was run. They were called autorun malware, in fact. In this case, a RAT, remote administration tool, just like TeamViewer, but well hidden. Actually a rootkit. Very well hidden. So the hacker takes control of the webcam and the PC as a whole. Sounds impossible? Well, the Sony Corporation about 10 years ago infected 50 titles, installing a rootkit on PCs where these CDs were inserted to deal with piracy. Sony, are you out of your mind? Are you an evil corporation too, perchance? I heard about this scandal just now, even if I probably heard about it passingly, but I never bought a Celine Dion CD, thank God. I used to buy Nine Inch Nails, Bauhaus, Cannibal Corpse CDs, and I will install a rootkit for you. Thanks, Celine Dion. Well, this rootkit created security holes that could have been exploited by malicious software, such as worms or viruses. It constantly ran in the background, consuming system resources, like cryptominer malware does. It employed unsafe procedures, so it crashed the system, it didn't have a non-installer. It was basically malware. Great. Good job. The episode ends with a cliffhanger. Will they be able to hack Steel Mountain? Stay glued to this playlist because in the next video we'll also see some mobile hacking from the third episode. Shellshock, quite a tough nut to crack. Really interesting. Just as a reminder, until August 25th, there are discounted versions of the courses available. The links are in the description. Become an ethical hacking cyber beast. See you in the next video. Tomorrow. No, today. Today. Actually, next week. See you soon.